guys, welcome back to your Caviar podcast. I just want to say that we've actually passed 20 episodes, and I'm so excited to introduce my next guest, Pamela Price.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You are a senior exec producer.
I am.
Before we get into all the amazing things that you're doing, we're going to take it back to where you're from.
I was raised in Scarborough, Maine.
Okay.
Yeah. Small upstate. That's where I was raised. And then I went to college in New York City at Marymount, Manhattan. I came out to LA about almost 20 years ago.
What was growing up in Maine like? So you stayed there until college?
I stayed there. I went to high school there. I was born in Virginia Beach, raised in Scarborough, Maine. It was a great place the sign when you go into Maine is the way life should be. That's what it said.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and
I don't really know much about Maine.
Lobster.
Okay. Love that. Yes.
We got lobster rolls at the McDonald's. I don't know if they still have those, actually.
Stop. Lobster rolls at the McDonald's?
They did when I was a kid. Everybody kind of knows each other, at least in Scarborough. I went to an all-girls private school there. I had transferred in the middle of high school.
What was that like? Did you like it or?
I loved it. It was kind of like one big sleepover.
I love it.
Everybody was, there wasn't a lot of cliques, and we were wearing uniforms, so nobody really judged what was happening.
I'm from Turkey originally, and before I moved to the States, we had uniforms as well. And sometimes like in high school, I would think back on those days and it would just be easier.
Yeah.
And for some reason here, it's only like private schools or something that have those. And I always found that so like different and fascinating when I moved to America. So growing up in North Carolina, the private girls' schools, they were kind of like the most unhinged as far as like pushing the limits on drinking and drugs and all the things you can get into.
I'm not going to say we didn't party.
We
partied.
I'm sure. We all partied.
I have some photos of girls in my mom's fur coats for sure.
So you also have like a very athletic background, which I love and can relate to. Did that come first before entertainment? When did you know like you wanted to kind of get into the business?
When I was growing up, I was in the Portland Ballet Company. Kind of transitioned into when I got some hips, I was like, let's do hip hop and breaking and contemporary dance. And so while I was doing that, I was also running cross country and doing, Maine is so beautiful. And so that was kind of my extracurricular sport. Dance, I think, has always just kind of lived with me. Sometimes you kind of forget it's there, and then you come back to it because you realize you love it so much. I think it was in my early 30s. I'm old. In my early 30s, I really started to run again because a friend had said, "You ever heard of something called Tough Mudder?" And I said, "No." I said, "What's Tough Mudder?" And he said, "It's like a mud run. You do these obstacles." And that was, 2017. That was like the height of obstacle course racing, when really there was talks of it maybe being in the Olympics. And so everybody was doing Spartans and Tough Mudder. And I started to train and then join a team. And then that kind of took off.
I love it. I did Tough Mudder once.
And what did you think?
Yeah, I loved it.
Do you remember what distance you did?
I love the obstacle courses. Probably like 5K or something. I don't remember like 2-3 hours of it. So
do you do it with a team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was so long ago. That was so fun, so much fun though. I also did cross country. I played soccer and cross country. Yeah. So I'm like, we have a lot in common. I love it. Taking that discipline of like being an athlete and carrying it into the entertainment. When did you kind of like make that? Was it in college, or when did you start getting into more like film entertainment stuff?
Yeah, it's interesting you said the thing about discipline, because I think that every child should play sport or or do dance, or because it does teach you maybe something that your parents aren't going to teach you. You got to show up on time or be early, etc. I always wanted to, at a certain point, I wanted to do journalism, and my father wanted me to be an actor. And like, what dad is like, be an actress. But
we already love dad. What's their background?
My dad was a psychiatrist, specialized in borderline personality disorder. Okay. And my mom was a RN and a registered nurse. Yeah. But he always raised me to love Broadway and just have a love for like Andrew Lloyd Webber and musicals. The only acting that I felt that I was really interested in doing was when I was in summer camp. I went to a performing arts camp called French Woods. He wanted me to go to school for theater, and I really wanted to pursue journalism. But I guess I transitioned into the entertainment industry when I moved out here. I did a couple like indie films that went like straight to DVD. I was always into horror. But when I came out here, I started to work in PR and marketing. with Michelle Elizabeth, who's my longtime mentor. She came from Rogers and Cowan and immigrated here when she was working with Ike and Tina Turner. We started LATF, which was a news site.
Yes.
LA TV film, and that's still, going to this day. And in that time, we realized that, news sites weren't really making money at a certain point. Events were, there was always a Vanity Fair had their Vanity Fair Oscar party, and that is how we came to find that kind of profit would be made if you had events. Michelle was a breast cancer survivor and realized that how important her hairstylist was to her. It was almost like a family member. He was the one that shaved her head when she had cancer. And she thought, there's the Guild Awards, but there's really not an award show that is for beauty as a whole, for the stylists, for the makeup artists, for the people that are not in the union, the people that are doing the Vogue covers.
Which is wild to me.
And red carpet. Yeah. Maybe there were things that came and went, but if you think about it, there's like a dozen movie, fashion, TV, and music and country music award shows, but there really wasn't something that was honoring them. And so we founded Hollywood Beauty Awards.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of it.
And you guys found that it's been going since 2015, right?
In 2014, it was founded. 2015, we produced the first one with Jane Fonda, honoring Bernadine M. Anderson, who was the very first Black makeup artist and female Black makeup artist to be in the union. Sir Patrick Stewart honored Michael Westmore, and a lot of great known red carpet artists like Autumn Moultrie and Marcia Hamilton had won that year. And we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah.
I knew I always wanted to produce, but it kind of came together and we knew that we had something at the end of the night.
What a beautiful, blooming idea that just comes into this massive award show.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's tough. It's hard.
I'm sure.
And it's real tough.
10 years now. I'm sure it's
10 years. We're going, the 11th Hollywood Beauty Awards will be in April. And it's really wild, but it's taken a lot of passion. They always say the blood, sweat, and tears. That's it.
I love it. For people who don't know, between the Hollywood Beauty Awards and then the Daytime Beauty Awards, which was created in 2018, So what's the difference?
So the difference is that we started to have a lot of people over the years that would say, why don't you honor skincare? Why don't you honor nail artistry? And we thought, God, we don't want a 4-hour show. I think the thing that is also special about our shows is that we're 2 hours, if that, and we keep it nice and hot and entertaining. And we thought, well, okay, we're going to start Daytime Beauty Awards, which is like the daytime Emmys to the primetime Emmys, right? You're not going to put the soap operas with the primetime series. And so we started that 2018, which was Outstanding Achievement in Skincare, honoring doctors, plastic surgeons. Sia came and said, she didn't come with her wig. Stop. She said, I got a facelift and I love my plastic surgeon, Dr. Ben Delay.
Stop. I love this.
Or Jennifer Lopez coming to honor her personal trainer. We just marked our 7th year with Tina Knowles and Melissa McCarthy honoring her hair colorist.
This is
that's
so
science.
Cool. Yeah.
So, it's bloomed.
I love this. Is it April every year, or does that change?
It was in February. It was always the Sunday after the Academy Awards. And that was just so tough because the people that are nominated are being honored. They're working the whole award season. And maybe they're doing Kerry Washington's makeup and then coming to the show because they're nominated or they're being honored. And that's actually happened one year where Kerry Washington surprised. She said, I can't come, because I'm doing the shoot and you're doing makeup. And so she came right from the shoot to go backstage to surprise the person who was winning that night.
I mean, it takes a village, and it's really important to show love for everyone who's had a part in you being the person that you are.
These people are family. Samuel L. Jackson and Camille Friend, who's done all of his wigs, and they're family. I mean, they've been working together for decades. And when you're in the chair, you say things in the chair.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so between us,
I'm getting a divorce.
Okay, so you also founded Nightwind Studios.
I did.
How did that come about?
Whoa, we're going to talk about Nightwind.
We can talk about anything you want.
Let's talk about Nightwind.
Okay,
so I had said I love horror. I always had I guess I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but what it was being a producer.
Yeah.
Right? I would kind of write down these ideas in my diary, and I was like, Leonardo DiCaprio was going to be in this thing, and he's in a foster family. And I was writing down these ideas, but I wasn't the writer. I wasn't the actor. and I wasn't, the director per se.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started producing Hollywood Beauty Awards and really learning my craft while doing it was that I realized that I love producing. I like to put the people together.
Yeah.
I've created these relationships over the years that we can now create things together. And that's what producing is. It takes a village, like you said. So Night Wind Studios came about after I produced my first feature film, really had to, the opportunity to join this family of production. And it's not going to be strictly horror. It is going to be projects that are probably mostly feature film, our first one being Busted. Which is directed by Maria Bissell and co-written with Stephen Tringali. And that was a blast.
Okay.
We wrapped a 25-day shoot.
Oh, wow. Where'd you guys shoot?
Up in Menlo, in Northern California. I'll say it's so easy for a production to come together and say, we're shooting outside of California for tax credits, et cetera.
Right.
But we worked really hard to stay here. So we also shot at Spearmint Rhino. It's a strip club con thriller.
Yes, I had a strip club con thriller starring
Ty Simpkins from
and
Insidious. Elsie Fisher, Maria Zhang. We got Mel Rodriguez and Julianne Emery, and even the beloved Kathleen Wilhoit from Gilmore Girls.
Oh my God, amazing.
She's a gem. What a gem.
So when can we expect it to be out?
I don't know yet.
Okay,
because
got it.
we literally just wrapped. I could tell you a really crazy story right now.
Yes, no, I want to know all the things. Pamela, this is
I've
so
never
cool.
said it. Oh, I've never said it actually publicly.
Okay.
So hopefully my mentor doesn't see this. I came on board because Maria and Stephen were doing a reading in the early stages of writing. A good friend of mine, Adriano Valentini, he was sitting there and they said, guys, we've never been to a strip club. We don't really know that community. And there was a character in there that was kind of this, goofy security guard, the DJs and the dancers. Does anybody know a stripper? And my friend Adriano said, my friend Pamela used to dance. I initially came on as kind of like a consultant and then the choreographer. I used to dance and I love that community of the club that I used to dance at and the dancers there and the manager and the owner and they're just wonderful. It's like the summer camp of strip clubs.
I love this.
The idea was to keep it as authentic as possible.
Of course.
We wanted it to be gritty. We wanted to have dancers that were still dancing. And that's what we did. I trained Ava Allen. We trained her to do a lot of tricks that really would take a very long time, and she dove right into it.
I'm sure you're a great mentor because you've also choreographed and musicals and whatnot. Like you have the background, obviously. This is exciting.
Choreography is something that I love to do. I choreographed my friend Chelsea Tyler. Chelsea is Steven Tyler's daughter. And we did a really fun animated music video.
Animated music video. I love it.
Yeah, Chelsea animated it herself and it's great.
Cool. So you come on as a consultant for the film and then it just makes sense for you to
get my coffee and
be a producer. Yes, please have some coffee.
Sorry, what were you saying?
So naturally from consulting and just being involved, you hopped on as a producer.
Maria and Stephen, we had been spending a lot of time together and then they said, can you produce? And I thought, well, God, can I produce? I produced 17 shows. I've been wanting to do film. This is what's the best way to learn is to just do it. It was a wild
What was the most challenging thing that was different for you coming onto a film set?
It was a fairly big cast and we were doing everything from Charlene Lee, who won the Emmy for casting Beef, was our casting director. And my friend Matt, who used to work at CAA, brought her on thanks to him. As a producer, you're playing therapist a little bit. You're trying to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
And there's always fires, to put out. Just making sure that everybody's having a good time.
That's so cool. I have a lot to learn from you. I feel like one of the things that I'm so grateful for starting this podcast is before that I had helped produce a short film with some friends and then this came about and the close people around me were like, you need to be a producer. Why haven't you done this before? Because you've been doing it actually for years. You can figure out the personalities that can mesh versus, the ones that can't. In the last year, I'm finding out I'm craving it, to do it more.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I could find something that I mean, acting is my love. That is a love for me. It's not a passion thing. It's not like a project or a side job or a hobby. It's love. And that's the best way I can describe it. The last year or so, starting to produce a few things, it's just So exciting.
Yeah, because why not? Because, you know, as an actor, you're a
You have
businesswoman.
so many hats.
And you can create your own projects.
Yeah.
You know, and you can bring all the
Absolutely.
people together that you know to make things.
Yeah.
And it's in your control as a producer, I think. Which way is it going to go? You know, because movies, I think the first book I ever read, which I recommend, by Lawrence Terman, who produced The Graduate, was So You Want to Be a Producer. I think about it 20 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I took it out after I wrapped Busted, and I kind of reread a lot of the things that I had highlighted. And I was like, wow. I was like, I learned all this stuff while I did it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Lawrence, I was doing this stuff. He said that the one thing that he learned, he wished he hadn't on his first project kind of nitpicked everything, where the extra was standing, et cetera. And he was like, sometimes you just got to let it go and let everybody do their jobs.
Absolutely. And just trust that they can, because that's why you put them together.
Yeah. It's the crew. Now I understand why people work with the same actors.
Yeah.
Or they don't.
Absolutely.
Or why they hire the same AD or the intimacy coordinator. Yeah. Oh my God, so important.
I haven't booked anything where it's required that, but I'm curious how that kind of comes about on set now, because it's a massive thing, which is great. It gives you safety and comfort in whatever you're doing in the scene.
When we shot, Ava Allen and Ty Simpkins have a scene, which is a lap dance. And we shot it at 7 a.m. at Spearmint Rhino in a closed set. And that was the first time that Ava and Ty were meeting.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to coach them, and then the intimacy coordinator, you know, because dancers, you have a background in dance too? Or?
So I can belly dance.
Okay, so you're a dancer.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm good at taking choreography. I grew up around dancers.
So you know how they are then. You know that they'll just kind of go, they'll be like, okay, and then you get on top of and then do this and then shoop. But having an intimacy coordinator is, you got to step back, and like once you teach them, they can't just immediately go on each other and start doing what's happening. Right? You got to make sure that both parties are okay.
You guys just wrapped Busted. So in post, so to be determined. We don't have a
to be
release
determined.
date.
You know, I know that we've had some nice interest in it. Shout out to Matt Grober from Deadline, who did that exclusive. We were so thankful to him. That helped us, and I think we just have a great cast. You know, I think a lot of people follow what Elsie Fisher does, and she's a gem.
Are you already working on something else? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one I am working on with the actor that I won't say, just because I guess contracts aren't signed.
Of course. So you're not like locked into the horror genre. You're happy to do rom-com, all of it.
So what I can say is that I am working on a project right now that's in development and it's in research. It's called Arroyo Seco. It is about the hauntings and the paranormal world of Arroyo Seco and La Cañada Flint Ridge in Pasadena, Altadena area. In 2020, I was rock climbing. I was an idiot, and I was bouldering by myself, which you should never do. I parked at the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory parking lot, which is essentially NASA. And I hiked in and I climbed. And then I had 2 backup headlamps for when it got dark. The last hikers came out and they said, "We'll wait for you if you want." And I said, "Don't worry about it." So my headlamps weren't working when it came time to walk home. Okay. And I turned my phone on. And I just had the light, and I was just kind of talking to myself. I didn't think anything of it. And 3 days later, I watched the footage back. It was undeniable that there was someone behind me.
Stop.
That was distorting. A white figure that was a body and walking and then turning and then going the other way. And so I posted it on Instagram in 2020, and somebody said, "That's Devil's Gate." And so I started to read about it. And Devil's Gate and that entire area right at the trailhead of Gabrielino Trail has a sick history. It's where L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons would do seances to open the portal to hell.
Whoa.
So the rumor is that they opened the portal to hell. And then in the 50s and 60s, 2 young boys at separate occasions went missing, and they were never found. A serial killer took credit for one of their bodies, still never found them. That is also Native American land, the Gabrielino and Tongva people, which are the original Angelinos. Where I actually was stationed climbing was just steps away from Owen Brown's gravesite. And Owen Brown is the son of the Liberator, who was a famous abolitionist named John Brown. So the history in that area is packed.
Wow.
So I'm developing something right now, and I'm actually meeting with Craig Owens, who's a famous researcher, historian. He's the researcher on haunted discoveries. So we're just thinking about things.
That's amazing. I am scared shitless
Yeah.
of watching anything that's horror. But I was in a horror film once. We filmed it in Fresno, and it was on Native American land with this house, and it opened up to like the forest, and there was like rumors that there was like gold buried in like certain areas of it. And I swear on the last day, we're leaving. The house was already just creepy. We're leaving. Everyone looks back to make sure like we closed up every light, everything in the house, like everything is locked. And we're driving off, and I look back. There was a light that like came on, and I was like, oh my God.
You
When
know,
we're filming. Yeah,
when there's
absolutely.
something that's off.
I believe in that stuff. I think there's a certain, like murderers and serial killers. Like I can't open that in my mind. Like I don't want to watch it. It just like it sticks with me. But
Well, don't watch the Ed Gein story then.
yeah, no,
Shit. What happened in that movie?
But yeah, what?
Where did it go, the movie?
Yeah, Tesh, where did it go?
Where'd it go, Tesh?
It was based on a true story. It was in post-production, and then I know he like left the industry at this point, but I'm not really sure particularly what happened with the film.
That's Hollywood, folks.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You got paid though.
You got paid like what, $200 a day or something.
Maybe it's like going to summer camp every time you go to a new cast or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have that experience, then you miss it.
Yeah.
So it's okay if you don't see the finished product because the experience was when you were filming it.
Yeah. And that's rich enough in its own for sure. You're also an activist.
I am an activist.
And you believe mind over matter approach, which I completely agree. You founded and opened We Care When.
Yeah.
Can you tell us like how that came about and like your experience?
When I was doing the obstacle course racing, I was scouted for American Ninja Warrior in about 2019. And that was the first time that I spoke openly about having Behçet's disease, which I always say is if lupus and MS have a baby, that is Behçet's disease.
Okay.
It's an autoimmune inflammation of the blood vessels, and it really does not discriminate. Once I started to talk about that on social media, which I think is the great thing about social media, is that you can find a community there. I started to get messages from people from Turkey, which is actually
amazing.
Dr. Hulusi Behçet.
Okay.
Who it's named after, is from Turkey. So people from Turkey reached out, Ireland, Pennsylvania, wherever. Wow. It wasn't until I had another really bad flare that a teammate of mine had sent a care package, but they didn't sign it. So I didn't know who it was from until later. And it just changed my entire frame of mind. I was like, God, if everybody that had a flare could just get like a package just randomly to brighten their day, it would keep them going a little bit, give them some hope and love. And so I started We Care When, which was We Care When You Flare. Yeah. And it was kind of just sending packages out on my own.
That's so sweet.
And that was about the pandemic time. So we did some fundraising and gifting frontline workers. And since then, it's been great. We kind of partnered with the American Behçet's Disease Association. I just joined their board and have done some conferences with them. So yeah, it's a nice community.
I love it. And you give back. You're like an angel.
Am I? But am I paying my bills? No, just kidding.
Yeah, also that. Yes.
Also that, right.
The struggle is real.
Helping people it's always been something that I like to do, whether it's friends, whether it's family, etc. But when you can help a mass community, something that you can relate to, having, the same disease, you really don't feel alone. And there's not a lot now. A lot of doctors are starting to research Behçet's disease or think about it when they're diagnosing someone instead of saying you have this, that, or the other, which can be traumatizing when you're falsely diagnosed. I was diagnosed really 2013, 2014, but my first flare was 2006. And so I was on the wrong medication, for that long.
And what was that like? Can I ask? Like, what happened?
It was so bad. So ulcers develop anywhere in your body with Behçet's disease. And I had internal and genital ulcers. Okay. And I had I could not walk. I mean, it went from like 1 to like 25 ulcers in like a matter of hours.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't know what was happening to me.
Right.
I went to the clinic at the time when I was in college, and the nurse, the doctor and the nurse came in. They didn't even test me yet. And they said, you have herpes. And I was like, I don't have herpes. I was like, I'm a very safe person.
Right.
I was like, I had a boyfriend at the time. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go tell him this. And I left school because it was so bad I couldn't walk. I got tested in multiple hospitals because my father was still practicing at the time. I was negative. Still, they didn't have an answer. I healed up, and then I had other flares, and they put me on Valtrex and all that stuff, and nobody could figure it out, until years later when it was just a number of different symptoms that added up. And there are 12-year-olds right now being diagnosed with herpes falsely, and they've never been touched. And they're saying, oh, well, maybe there's something going on at home, And that's where that gaslighting situation comes. Yes, it's scary.
That is so scary.
Yeah.
And does it happen just any moment? You just like, or do you kind of like sense it now that you've had this for like a long time?
Depends. I think for everybody it's a case by case basis, but it depends on your immune system and how pushed it's being. For me, I found that if I sleep 8 to 9 hours, I mean like no less than 8 hours and 45 minutes, folks.
On the dot.
I got to do it. That's my medicine. I take my meds and whatnot. If I am like 5 hours of sleep or, and that happens over a couple of nights, then
you're pushing it.
I'll push it. Yeah.
Okay. I love sleeping. Leave me alone in bed. I'm like 10 hours.
Sleep is medicine, folks.
Yeah. I saw this like model and I'm just like, they're like, oh, what's like your secret to staying young? And she's like, well, I drink a lot of water and obviously like I do yoga and stuff. She was like, but honestly, I sleep. And she was like, I feel like that's kind of like helped me stay youthful. So
you heard it here first, folks. How much do you sleep?
Listen, that is a very great question because I juggle a lot of things and I can survive off like 5-6 hours.
You said survive off.
Yeah.
That's important that you said that, right? Because that doesn't mean you're living.
And as you get older, you get better at listening to your body and like what it needs and not fighting off like, I guess, FOMO aspect of like, I need to get up. It's a sunny day and like I need to do this and this. And so I think you start to find that balance a bit more. I feel like sometimes I'm still hard on myself, but what's the result? It's, being stressed or being, like.
Well, and that's hard too. I mean, when you're stressed, right, then you can't sleep, then you got to get some sort of sleep aid like melatonin, CBD, which is very good. I think the most important thing is that if you know somebody that has a rare disease, push them to Instagram to find the community.
Do we want to plug anything in? You're an activist, you're an athlete, you're an executive
Hollywood
producer,
Beauty Awards, Daytime Beauty Awards,
production company, like Wonder Woman over here.
You can follow us on Hollywood Beauty Awards. We have a lot of great speeches. I think we just released the Hiroyuki Sanada. Man, he came and honored Mitsuyo Takasaki, who is the head of hair on Shogun.
Wow.
And she flew from Japan. And this was beautiful. She really deserved that. Hollywood Beauty Awards on Instagram, Daytime Beauty Awards.
Thank you so much
for coming.
This was so great.
What is this? What do we do?
So, okay, Turkish coffee.
Yes.
Once you're done with it, you turn it over and you just like manifest something and then you kind of like look at your fortune. So like you turn it over and there's like shapes and stuff. I don't know. Do you want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do I do?
So you just read the cup and just tell me like, I see 2 people hugging or like I see a tree or a bird.
Of what is in here right now?
Yeah.
I think I see rolling hills.
Okay.
Something that's wrapped around you, almost like a protective circle, but it's not really like a circle. It's more like a fish that's kind of swimming around you in water.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's like consistently protecting you. So I'm not sure who that is, but that's what I see in this.
That's perfect. Done. We don't need to read it anymore. That's all I needed to know. Thank you. Fish is a really good omen.
Pisces?
I am a Pisces.
Are you a Pisces?
I'm a Pisces.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that. But
did not know that,
I said
folks.
fish. I don't know if we're still recording.
Okay, maybe you have an affinity for this too. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Pamela, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
This is so helpful for everyone and just like everything that you've done. If people can support, obviously find her on Instagram.
How'd you get the idea with your caviar podcast?
Honestly, I was like just looking up names that are catchy. Caviar kept coming up on my Pinterest. Also, caviar is like one of those things where it's a luxury and it's one of those things that it's kind of like when you book that one thing and everything else kind of opens up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like associate it with like that one project that gives you your caviar.
I love that.
Yeah. Have you ever had caviar?
Oh yeah. When we represented Petrosian, I used to go there a lot. I would like take my parents there, and I was like, I'm gonna take you for a free caviar.
Is it?
I hope it's still open.
Okay.
It's in West Hollywood. Are we off now? Or are we still going? Oh, we are.
Couple of videos. Okay. Oh, my sign off. I don't know. We know I'm not good at signing off, you guys, but thank you so much for coming on. And again, we passed 20 episodes, which is exciting. Thank you everyone who's been watching it and supporting it since day one. Bye.